is, and let's just talk about tryouts here.
Yeah.
If you're making cuts, okay, and I've said this before, if you're doing tryouts, it's got to be a minimum of 2 days. I'd prefer that you do it 3, but if you feel like you've evaluated enough in 2 days and you want to make cuts, I'm okay with that, okay? But once you do that, you need to update that roster as soon as you can in our athletic office, because we got a couple things going on. One, when I do attendance checks, I need to have an accurate roster. When I do grade checks, once the season starts, I need to have accurate rosters. Okay, for dismissals, early dismissals, I need to have accurate rosters. And that goes for as the season goes on, not just after you make cuts, because we all know we get kids that quit, you know, after 2 or 3 weeks, I don't want to do this anymore. So if you get kids that quit, you need to come in and update your roster, or just give us a phone call or an email and say, Johnny Smith quit today. Because then we have an accurate roster. Because believe it or not, what will happen, and this is just a small example, is Johnny Smith will figure out that he's still on the basketball roster. Basketball team got out at 2 o'clock, so Johnny, he just went out the back door at 2 o'clock and he's gone. Because he knows he's still on the roster, getting out early. So, and that's just one small little example of something that could happen behind the scenes. But emergency plan of action, it's in your coach's handbook. Make sure, a couple things. One, you take your med kits with you on away trips. And 2, those forms that we put in your mailboxes, those emergency forms that have the parent's address, phone number, if you're in an away event, you should carry those with you. If I was you, I'd put them in the bottom of my med kit so you have them all the time. Because if something happens at an away event, that's the first part of the emergency plan of action is you need to call mom and dad and say, hey, you know, Joni's went to the hospital, she has, you know. So you've got to let them know what's going on, and you have to have those sheets with you, and that's part of our emergency plan of action. And obviously, if it's something serious, you know, obviously I'd appreciate a phone call, and you need to let the trainers know what's going on too, okay? And they get kind of upset, and deservingly so, when they don't know about an injury. You know, they want to know what's going on, so they're informed because they are our so-called medical experts. Mandatory rules, meaning I think most of you went to those already. Basketball, rifle had one, swimming had one, wrestling. I think you guys all went to that. If you haven't, you better do so because there's only so many left. Everybody go to them?
I'm going to Window City tomorrow.
Okay. Coaching responsibilities, and I say this every year, but these are things that you have to think about. I know you're concerned with the X's and O's and strategies of coaching, but there's things outside of the box that need to be attended to. Probably the first and foremost is making sure the kids are supervised at all times. Whether it's, you know, you or an assistant coach, you know, at the end of practice when people are waiting for rides, or when you come back from an away game, someone has to be here. You can't leave those kids unattended. So whether that's a duty you lay on one of your assistant coaches to stay till everyone's got their ride, whatever it may be, but please do not leave kids unsupervised. Make sure you're taking, obviously, I'm not insulting your intelligence, but make sure you're taking attendance every day. You know, who's here, who's not here, because when it comes time to talk to mom or dad about why, you know, their son or daughter's not playing, because you guys all know you're going to probably hear it at one point in time or another. You know, you need to make sure you keep an accurate attendance on who's there and who isn't as part of your evaluation. Reporting your scores. You know, I'd appreciate as much as